live. Boom. Greg, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, man.
I'm glad you took some time out of your busy schedule to jump on the show, so we appreciate it. One of my good buddies, obviously I've known about you for a while, but one of my good buddies is a huge advocate of kinobody. His name's Thaddeus. If you could say Thaddeus, or say whatever you want, but if you give Thaddeus a shout out, it would make his freaking week.
Thaddeus, keep crushing on the program.
He said he's bought all your supplements, he bought all your programs, and he said that you're the only real natty person in the industry that doesn't BS. So every single time we talk about fitness, he always brings you up somehow. And yeah, so we go back and forth with you were on his podcast, More Plates, More Dates, Derek. I love his stuff. I think Derek's a super genius when it comes to the space. And then between you two, I would say you guys are the leaders in the online, developing an online brand from fitness and taking it to the next level. Because a lot of people have fitness brands, but once the internet age exploded, you guys were some of the top tier people to really accelerate. I remember seeing your ads back in like 2015, 2016. And I believe that's like when kinobody exploded. And I really haven't seen too many people with online programs that exploded like you. And you have really good marketing, really good advertising. We'll get into the business side besides the health and medicine side, but cool, man. So now that Thaddeus got his shout out, everything's good with that. Tell people that don't know who you are a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into that.
Sure. My name is Gallagher. I'm 30 years old. I really had a passion for fitness at a very, very young age. 6 years old, I was doing push-ups. I started like reading workout routines and spending hours on Google at 13, 14 years old, trying different workout programs. It's just been something that I just always loved. I loved the idea that you can transform your body, you can get stronger, you can get leaner. And it was pretty much my passion since I was a little kid. And at 18 years old, I really started to carve out my fitness philosophy and what I really felt like was what one should strive for. At 19 years old, I wasn't trying to become a professional athlete. I wasn't trying to become a bodybuilder. What I wanted to look like a movie star, and I wanted to get in shape and make it a lifestyle, something I can enjoy. But at the time, all these different fitness philosophies, I found them to be obsessive and kind of take over your life and glamorize the idea of just making fitness the only thing in your life. And so I wanted to look like a movie star, feel like a movie star, and actually have a lifestyle where I can have a social life, I can have a business life, and fitness is just one piece of the pie. It's not like all I care about. And once I really developed that lens, I started to really put together the system that would allow me to lean down to a low body fat percentage, get very strong, and build really good proportion. And it kind of took years of testing, and I started to kind of put the puzzle pieces together. And the coolest thing has just really been the results that my clients have gotten. We've had hundreds of thousands of people go through my programs, and the before and afters are insane. I'm seeing just monumentally impressive transformations. And so it's really become like a huge brand of diehard followers that do the fasting, that drink sparkling water, that hit the workouts and are in like amazing shape where they struggled before. So it's been a really, really cool brand. And the last few years, I created my own like pre-workout, which I love, without the crash, Keno-Octane, and a couple other things there. And it's been really fun and exciting. But, my goal is just to help you look and feel like a movie star without it taking over your life, and support you with the right supplements along the way.
And do it naturally.
Yeah. And do it naturally.
Because most movie stars are not natural.
Yeah. A lot of them, definitely, some of them are definitely using some stuff. Yeah.
I mean, listen, if they were to say, listen, Justin, you're going to become Batman, but you gotta look the part. I can't say I wouldn't do it either. So, if you want to become Thor, you got to look like Thor, and you're on a time crunch. I feel like that's most of their mentality. Millions of dollars, super fame, huge career. you take steroids for a couple months and cycle off. I mean, most people would do that, and we've seen that in the Hollywood movie industry.
Yeah, yeah.
But your concept is completely different, and it's funny that you said that you didn't want it to be everything that you obsessed about. You didn't want fitness just to be about fitness, right? And what I've seen in my experience is it's hard to have it all. It's hard to be shredded, strong, great looking, and be rich. Vice versa, it's hard to be rich and be shredded and strong. And typically, most people that I see, they either have one or the other, right? They're either, if they're really good shape, chances are they're really broke. And if they're not so good of shape, AKA dad bods, then they usually have, those are the guys that have more of the money because they're more obsessive in business, right? And I think with your program specifically, because I've done your program before, and I've seen the best results with your stuff because you're using the minimal effective dose to look the best, work on certain body parts that, like, let's face it, body is an illusion, right? If your shoulders are huge, like look at Dwight Howard, skinny arms, no chest, no back, huge shoulders, everyone thinks he's jacked, right? So by using that philosophy, having the giant round shoulders, and you don't have to have a crazy giant chest. You're spending every day or every week, people are going for International Chest Day on Monday, blasting out as heavy as they can. That's fine, right? But if you're looking for that overall proportion, and then you want to get back to your business and your social life and your dating life, it's going to be hard to be 10 out of 10 in every single aspect, in every single vessel. And I think with your program is really, again, unless you're juicing or using performance enhancing drugs, I really think there is no other program where you can look good, do it in a very strategic way for certain illusion muscles to pop out, to have the appearance of you look like this movie star, but then also you can spend time in your business and make a lot of money as well, versus spending, 5 to 6 days of the gym, spending, thousands of dollars in supplements and just grinding it out. But meanwhile, your business suffers, and now you're, barely making any money, and you have to be a bartender on the weekends.
I appreciate that, man. I really do. I mean, it's, look, I've tried pretty much every single workout program, different diets. I test drove a lot. And if there was a better system that I felt gave me better results, I would do it. And ultimately, I developed this not because I'm lazy and I don't want to work out every day. I actually love working out. I developed this because I was just trying to get the best results. And I realized that my physique was largely tied to how strong I was on key lifts. And I found I could make better consistent gains with a few more rest days, lifting really intense but lower volume, just optimizing more for intensity. I was able to hit more PRs, and the diet strategy really was crafted because it's very, very hard to stick to a diet. Behavioral change is one of the hardest things. It's easy to be like, hey, let me create this fat loss diet for someone. That's easy. It's easy to create a fat loss diet. The hard part is, how do you get someone to stick to it? That's the $10 million question, not what diet will help you lose fat. It's very, just put someone in a calorie deficit, they'll lose weight. That's guaranteed. But for me personally, I had a hard time sticking to a diet. I had a hard time being in a calorie deficit, really sticking to it. I just kind of liked eating more. And when you're someone that really loves lifting, loves gaining muscle, loves putting on strength, that was something I was just naturally gifted at, lifting, getting strong. You're kind of incentivized to want to eat a lot. The more weight you want to lift, the more you eat, the more beneficial it is, the easier it is. And so I kind of really had to put together some just rules and a setup and a strategy and a meal plan that just was boom, okay, that I could just get lean easily. I could stay satisfied. It was simple. So, ultimately ultimately everything was just kind of focused on the result I wanted. All right, I got to get very strong, very lean, and that's when I'm going to look amazing. What do I need to do to get very strong? What do I need to do to actually stick to a calorie deficit and get to a leaner state while maintaining muscle? And I eat chocolate at night, and I find eating chocolate at night keeps me satisfied. Where if I can fit in the last 400 calories for some chocolate, I'm satisfied. It's a little chocolate hack that I personally find works well. It doesn't work with everything. I can't stick to 400 calories of cookies, but a little chocolate I actually found was a little trick that helped me. And like having the steak first and then waiting 30 minutes, having some carbs after, I found helped me stay satiated much longer. But you know, that's like, if you look at my results, like that's the one thing, like it's just people just get lean easily. And some of my clients are getting under 10% body fat, staying there, chiseled abs, lower ab veins. And in the past, to get to that level of leanness, usually it meant like having so much willpower and just pushing through this brutal diet. Now people are doing it and it's relatively enjoyable once you kind of adapt, once you get used to eating, you know, whatever in a modest deficit. You get through the first few weeks, you just kind of get used to it, and it's not as hard. It's not as hard as you think. And a lot of the rules that I preach kind of go against the grain.
Yeah, that's true. I got into I go to dinner with my buddies down here. We go to Texas Day Brazil, all you can eat meat Brazilian steakhouse. We definitely they definitely don't make money on us. There's like 7 huge. One of my buddies is 6'8", 350. Used to play for the Buccaneers here in Tampa, and they're all ex-athletes. They're all ginormous individuals. So every time they come, like you could tell that the waiters roll their eyes because they'll come with a giant thing of lamb chops and we'll wipe out 2 things, just our table alone. So they always try to sit us in a certain part of the restaurant where they don't have to walk past us. They made that mistake putting us in front of the kitchen the one time. By the time they walked out of the kitchen, they had to go back for more. So, but having said that, we go typically every Wednesday night. We'll go to Texas Day Brazil, or we'll go to some type of steakhouse, and you know, we're guys. We will talk shit to each other, and it's a bunch of meatheads. And we're lifting, comparing lifts, doing, you know, these are all ex-pro athletes, and some college athletes. And one of my buddies was he was saying that, well, because he can do 450. My bench right now is 405.
Damn.
For one. And but he's 6'8", 350, right? And he was saying when I was heavier, I could do 5 plates, but he never did 5 plates. He was just saying theoretically, if I could do this at this weight, then if I put on this weight, I can do more. And I was telling him, you can't really say that, because I was 250, and then I started doing your program, and I swear, guys, this is not like a softball pitch promoting Greg's program. Like, this is the honest to God truth. I was 250 pounds. I lost, I would say 20 to 30 pounds. I was around 225, 230, and I got stronger. I increased 25 pounds on my bench. So everyone's always saying, oh, well, if you're heavier, you can lift way more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe if you're on like powerlifting and you're taking other stuff. But for me, I lost weight and got stronger. So what does that tell you? It's not just how much you weigh. And that's what I was trying to argue with my one buddy. And we kind of got at like a standstill because he doesn't really know your program. He's just like traditional. Right. And he was saying, well, if I gain this much weight, I could put up this much more weight. I was like, well, I lost 20 pounds and got stronger. So how do you explain that?
Yeah. You know what? That's very interesting. There's like, there's like a sweet spot, like a solid, like weight body fat percentage where you just perform best at. Mm-hmm. And so definitely 250 was, probably heavier than you need to be.
I'm 6'1.5", maybe 6'2" on a good day.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's still 250 is pretty heavy. Yeah. For me, like, I find like I'm really like 180 to 185. I'm like really strong. And then if I want to get to like lower levels of body fat, I might have to I'll have to sacrifice some absolute strength. But if I was like 205 and had excess body fat and was over 15% body fat, then you can actually perform better at a leaner state.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to tell him. I was like, listen, man, you can't use those numbers because that doesn't necessarily mean more fat equals more weight. It makes sense, and that's what we're told growing up. I don't know how it is in Canada, but especially here in the States, all the bodybuilders or all the powerlifters, they have this giant gut, and you can't see any definition, but they're putting up huge numbers. And I was like, you can't use that because I lost weight and got stronger. So how do you explain that? And
it never works out. Whenever someone tries to be like, well, I was this and that, so then theoretically, if I get here, I could do this. It doesn't work out like that. Fitness is not that like black and white. I see people that are heavy and they have a good amount of muscle, and they're like, yeah, if I cut down to 180, I'd be 6% body fat. You would not. Like you might be 200 pounds and have some good muscle and some definition and be like, oh yeah, if I lost 20 pounds, oh, I'd be shredded. It never works out like that, ever. I've never seen it work out like that. And that's especially if you're natural. But even guys that are using gear end up getting a lot lighter to be shredded than they think. So yeah, unless you, unless you actually get there, it's not worth being like, yeah, if I just cut 20 pounds, I could do this. Or if I just gained 20 pounds of even fat, then I could bench this. You don't know. And chances are you're grossly overestimating what you could do.
Oh, 100%. And that's what I was trying to portray to my buddies, but they're football players, so they're stubborn. And oh man. But yeah, so my one question for you though is if you had because I want to talk about the fitness side and I want to get into the business side, because I think actually fitness wise what you do is great, but I think it's even more impressive what you do on the business side. But let's just stay on the fitness side for now, and then we'll migrate over to business. For someone that does eat in a calorie deficit, is naturally the type of person that can put on huge size, most likely pretty strong, eats maybe once a day at, I don't know, 1,200 calories, 1,300 calories. Because I've seen this, and I kind of run into this problem too, because I can put on size very easily, but cutting is I have to go on a starvation diet basically to get down. I could even if I eat 1,000 to 1,400 calories at my size, it's still a struggle compared to other people. So what would you say for the hard losers, that it's really easy for them to gain, but hard for them to lose if they're already intermittent fasting, they're already eating once a day, and they're doing sprints or they're doing fasted cardio? What would you see in your experience with all the hundreds and thousands of clients that you've dealt with, that the biggest catalyst for those type of people are?
Okay, my answer is going to probably piss some people off. It will for sure.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. I don't believe someone is actually eating 1,400 calories that's a bigger person and is not losing weight. I don't believe it.
Losing weight, but super slow.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think what's really going on, and I've gone through this thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times, and I've helped thousands of people break through plateaus. And every single time what is going on is they're not actually eating as few calories as they think. And if they are, they have a day where they can undo that deficit in 4 hours, 5 hours by binge eating. Here's the reality. Our bodies are hardwired for survival. Absolutely. And to put yourself in extreme calorie restriction is actually it's literally a form of torture. It's absolutely like a form of torture. So the idea to voluntarily put yourself through a form of torture is very hard. And I've put myself on low calorie diets where I was eating 1,400 to 1,600 calories. It was extreme. It's one of the hardest things to do. I think everyone talks about this, but there's been a study where they had military armed forces people, put them on 1,400 calories, about half of their maintenance. And within a few months, they were doing everything in their power to get out of this study. They were cutting off their fingers, they were injuring themselves. And so the reality is if you took anyone that identified as having a slow metabolism, I lose weight slowly, if you were just to lock them in a prison cell, feed them 1,400 calories, a 200-pound man, the person that was complaining that they couldn't lose weight or they're losing weight really slowly on 1,400 calories, you would start to see all the signs of severe calorie restriction. It'd be right there in front of your eyes.
That's a good point. That's a good point. People think, I've heard this before, people think that your day-to-day diet is what people actually track. Oh, I'm eating 1,500 calories on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But then on Friday, you get blasted and you eat a whole pizza and then maybe you eat some chocolate. You're already, you might be drunk, you might be intoxicated, you might be smoking weed. So you're not really counting it. And that one, maybe even if you go off the rails 2 days, you just ate 10,000 calories. You drive through McDonald's on the way home from the club and you eat 10,000 calories worth of chicken McNuggets. You're not counting that. And then you're like, oh, wow, people think every day is a new slate. No, it doesn't matter if you eat your calories on Monday or you eat them throughout the week. You're still eating your calories.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it where I tried to do like 1,600, 1,700 calories. And every 4 days I would break and I'd feel guilty and I'd binge. And even though I was so strict, like for 3-4 days and then had one bad day, I would gain weight during that period. And, you know, some of those days I'd be eating, I didn't count the calories I was eating, but it was at least 6,000. And I just think that that doesn't work that well. Like if you're going very low for a few days and then having one day where you go very high, I think it's easier for your body to actually gain weight than if like you spread out those calories evenly. Because essentially what you're doing is you're by going to extreme calorie restriction, your leptin levels are dipping and you start to sort of like, especially if you're leaner, you'll experience this more so, you know, you'll start to conserve energy. And then it's almost like when the leptin levels are very low and then you start eating, you can eat a lot more, you can put on more weight. And then if you go from like very low eating, right, your energy is lower if you're not eating, if you're eating very, very, very little, a huge deficit, your energy is naturally going to be lower. And then if you eat a shit ton on the days you screw up, your energy is going to be lower. It's very hard to move around when you just ate 5,000-6,000 calories. You just want to lie down. You're just going to be stuck on the toilet all day. So you're not burning much. So that doesn't work. But so every single time I have someone that's like, hey, I'm eating very, very low calories, I'm not losing weight, or I'm losing weight very slowly, there is not like, the wrong answer is, okay, you know what? Oh yeah, you got a slow metabolism. You're probably going to have to just add some cardio or go a bit lower or cut out carbs. It's always the wrong answer every single time. The answer is, all right, well, let's look at you, for example. All right, you're 200 pounds, you're 15% body fat. You know, if you were just to be bedridden all day, you're at least burning, 2,000 calories. If you're just getting 10,000 steps a day, you're going to be high to 2,000. Like, you're going to be up to minimum 2,600 calories per day, ideally 3,000, but the bare minimum, if you're just moderately active, bare minimum, you're burning, 2,600 calories a day. All right, well, you know what? Your body does not like being in a massive deficit. Doing that is just causing more issues. It's causing the binge cycle. It's causing your leptin levels to plummet. Let's coax yourself lean and let's get you on 2,200 calories. And they might be freaking out. Well, hey, I'm barely losing weight on 1,400 calories. How am I going to, 2,200 calories, I'm going to get fat? That is completely not true. That person's resting metabolic rate is 2,000. If they do nothing all day, they're still going to burn more than 2,000. And so the solution is eat at a smaller deficit, get very dialed in on the tracking, because most people think their tracking is good and it's not good. I recommend just audit your tracking, use a scale, track everything, eat the same thing every day that like the tracking is dialed in for a week. And every single time when I do this, like I haven't seen this fail. They increase their calories, they get the tracking dialed in, they kind of calm down, and then their weight starts to come off again. I think it's very, very, like, it's not empowering if my strategy to get someone shredded is to take someone that's 200 pounds or 190 pounds and be like, man, yeah, you're going to have to do 1,900 calories a day. That's not empowering, because no way in hell are they going to be able to stick to that. I can't stick to that. What is empowering is like, okay, well, damn, all right, you're 190, you're going to have to get down to 170, and we're going to get you to cut on 2,300 calories a day. And maybe that will get you down to high 170s, and we might have to go down to 2,100, but you're going to be able to eat a decent amount, and we're going to focus on strength and getting your brisk walking in. I've had this situation pop up with time, and what keeps people stuck in this loop of I'm eating very little, I'm not really losing weight, I'm losing weight really slowly, is the belief that their metabolism is slower and they need to eat very low calories to lose weight. I've been stuck in that mindset, and it's never the path. What you have to realize is, okay, let's look at this like a mathematical equation. Resting metabolic rate is, for someone that's bigger, is going to be 2,000. I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day, which is going to burn, actually a lot. If you're getting 10,000 steps in a day, it's actually, at least 700 calories. Call it 600. Okay, you're burning minimum 2,600 calories. All right, well, let's just lose a pound a week. Let's do 2,100, 2,200. But you know what? Maybe you're still feeling hungry and a bit ravenous. Like, that's one of the things I look for. Fat loss goes very smooth when someone actually feels satisfied on the diet. If you're feeling ravenous and hungry and you're pushing through, it just doesn't go very well. So even if you need to eat a bit more at first and be in a smaller deficit and technically lose weight slower, you will do better doing that. So, and then maybe eventually you can drop it down by 200, but even starting at 2,300, when you know that you're burning at least 2,700 calories per day is good. But again, what you really want to control for is tracking dialed in. All right, now the propensity to have days where you just binge eat are going to be way lower because you're not starving yourself. You're not restricting yourself. It's like every time you do a big deficit, it's like pulling an elastic band back and it's going to snap. But you just kind of want to coax yourself lean, especially when you're cutting, to lower levels of body fat. But, this is the answer that anyone listening, if you identify as someone that, hey, I barely can lose weight, I have to eat so little, is completely wrong. And the idea of damaging your metabolism is more so a product of losing muscle mass. So if you stop lifting weights, you lose muscle, then your metabolism will be slower, but it's not as big of a drop as people think. And furthermore, like, the real secret to being lean easily is in this concept known as NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And when you're starving or when you're eating a very, very low calorie diet, NEAT really gets suppressed. Interestingly enough, like, some people genetically don't gain weight, barely gain weight when they're overfeeding. They'll overfeed a group of people by 1,000 calories a day. And some people just, theoretically should be gaining 2 pounds or whatever a week. Some people just barely gain weight at all. And they're just metabolism, they just start moving around more and they're tapping their knees and doing this and that, walking around in circles, and just all this NEAT activity, even if it's 5 minutes here and there, added up throughout the day, really, really helps. So I actually try and recommend people try and just become someone, act like someone that just stays lean easily. You're on the phone call, walk in a circle. You're waiting around. If I'm in the airport, I don't just sit down and wait for my flight to take off or wait for boarding for an hour. I just walk back and forth. I'll just do a little loop. You just want to get your body moving. The idea that to order to burn calories, you got to kill yourself in the gym or jump on a treadmill is wrong. You can be burning calories every minute of the day as an opportunity just to move around a little bit, to stand up, walk here and there. You got a break from work? Well, why are you just going and sitting down somewhere? Go for a walk, get outside. Like, walking is the most powerful thing you can do to stay lean, I believe.
I just picture you walking back and forth at the airport and TSA dude, this guy's on crack. He's walking around.
No, it's good. It's throw a podcast on, talk to a friend, call a friend. You're happier when you move more. Being sedentary all day long isn't ideal, but that is literally my solution. And so if someone is like, boom, I got to eat 1,400 calories, I'm a bigger guy, I'm 220, I would say go and track 2,400 calories, fast, eat a big feast, just make 2,400 calories, have it dialed in perfectly, stick to that for 10 days, and you will see fat melt off. You will feel leaner and you will look really, really good. And I also don't believe in, I'm not a big proponent in going very, very low in carbs. It's fine to restrict carbs here and there in order to hit your calories, but I see there's a lot of people that like to keep carbs very, very low, and I think that it has a negative impact.
Well, it matters on what carbs, right? If you're eating deli sandwiches with white bread versus sweet potatoes, you would say that there's a difference in that,
I honestly don't like.
or no? Because
No,
you're going to make a lot of people happy if you say
no.
nope,
I
same
mean,
same.
from a vitamin, mineral, like nutrition standpoint, obviously there is going to be a difference. From an overall health standpoint, there will be a difference. But as far as fat loss is really just a numbers game. It's really just putting yourself in that deficit. And as far as like the benefits of carbohydrates, if you're just looking at like sheer like replenishing muscle glycogen, stimulating leptin, going very low in carbs can increase sex hormone binding globulin, which can technically lower free testosterone. If you're just looking at those benefits, it doesn't matter if you're eating white bread or a sweet potato. My general rule of like, if fat loss is the primary objective, my general rule is like to focus on the satiety index, which carbs are going to really keep you satisfied. And I think potatoes are a clear winner. I actually prefer, russet potatoes to sweet potatoes. I just find russet potatoes just be more satisfying for me. But that's generally my recommendation. I've done very, very clean diets. And my calories were higher, and my calories were higher, and I never saw weight loss. Like, I tested everything, and it just became extremely apparent. The only real way to lose fat is put yourself in a calorie deficit and keep yourself in a sustained calorie deficit, and make that as easy as possible. If you don't make it as easy as possible and it's difficult, you're just going to eat more and it's not going to work. But like, find the easiest way to be in a calorie deficit. And sometimes trying to eat clean all the time can actually make you develop cravings, and then you end up wanting to eat more of the food, that you think you can have. Whereas if you just have a little bit of chocolate or freaking whatever like satisfy, like some people, like they just want something that satisfies them, and they're not going to binge on it. They just want to, hey, I just want to have 500 calories of this. That's fine if you fit into your calories, and realizing that is very empowering, because you realize like, hey, this piece of chocolate's not going to make me fat. Even this French fry is not going to make me fat. As long as I eat wholesome food, get enough protein in, have some fruits and vegetables, but I'm going to make sure I'm in a calorie deficit. And then you realize, hey, it's very empowering. You're like, damn, okay, I can enjoy the foods that I like and get leaner if I make sure I'm in the deficit.
Yep. And you're getting, like you said, your macro and micronutrients as well, right?
Yeah. But even if you're not getting your micronutrients, you're still going to lose fat.
But not overall the best approach.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal to have micronutrient deficiencies, but even if you do and you're in a deficit, you will lose fat. Absolutely. Yep. And like, I do see this stop people from getting lean, and it's sort of like this idea that I have to fit in all these different healthy foods. I got to get in these. I got to want to eat add this into my, And so like, if you kind of have this idea, like there's two kind of things that kind of can help, can actually be like, seems like a good thing, but can stop you from getting lean. And it's like, one, hey, I did an intense strength workout. I got to eat more to recover. And so they end up eating more calories than what would support their leanness goals. And like, two, like obsessing about protein. You don't need a ton of protein. Ideally 0.82 grams per pound. So 200-pound individual, 160. But if you think you have to eat 250 grams of protein a day, it's going to make it harder to get lean.
Yeah.
Then secondly, like, I got to have all these different health superfoods, but like adding it, if you're trying to eat so much, like I have a friend in LA that's just health obsessed, and they're like 30, 40 pounds overweight, and they're trying to get all these different foods in their diet. And it's like, okay, like relax a little bit. Eat lots of steak and eggs, amazing, chicken, sure, or fish. Fruits, really, really good. Potatoes, if you want to get in some broccoli or cauliflower and some of this stuff, like that's sort of my go-to. But and if you want to, like, if you're really obsessed about micronutrient deficiencies, the most accurate thing to do would be to get your levels checked and see what you're actually deficient in. Yeah. And it might not be what you think, it might not even be what you think, you might be like, man, I don't think I'm eating that much calcium in my diet, but actually your calcium levels might be fine.
Yeah,
And
I think if you're stuck on a deserted island, if you could only eat one thing as far as like micronutrients, it's eggs. I think if you only ate eggs, if you ate eggs twice a day, you would be fine. Your hair would grow in good quality. Your skin would be elastic. You'd look great. Eggs is like the ultimate superfood.
Yeah, eggs are fantastic, and you're better off doing whole eggs than egg whites. The whole egg is, I mean, 3 eggs is like 210 calories, and they're filling. That's like they're one of the most filling foods. I think there's some research showing that the whole egg, even like with less protein, actually does a better job stimulating protein synthesis than like egg whites.
Oh, 100%. And I'll tell you, I have actual proof. So I eat eggs like religiously. People that know me, they're like, dude, this guy eats so many eggs. I eat 8 to 9 whole eggs a day. Before I jumped on this podcast, I just had I made 9 eggs. I probably eat about 7, and then my dogs eat the rest too. I have 2 little dogs, so they eat the rest, right? So for the longest time, especially like the health nuts and health gurus, they would say, oh, the cholesterol this, cholesterol that. Sure, I'm not a doctor. I talk to a lot of doctors. I talk to a lot of scientists, but I'm not an actual doctor. But I would always tell them, listen, from my experience and from what I've heard from experts is that the cholesterol in eggs, you don't have to worry about. But, cholesterol in this, cholesterol in that. I got my blood work done from a hormone clinic, similar to like Merrick Health or whatever. And they said my cholesterol levels couldn't be better. Like, they're like, whatever you're doing for cholesterol, just keep doing that because it literally cannot be better. It's perfectly ideal in between the ideal apex of cholesterol. And
yeah,
it's just crazy.
From
someone that eats 8 to 9 eggs a day, whole eggs, not egg whites. I hate egg whites. All the nutrition is in the yellow yolk.
Yeah, I'm actually like a little bit deficient in choline, so it's good for me to actually eat a lot of whole eggs.
Oh yeah, especially for brain.
The whole eggs raise cholesterol. The idea of having to cut out whole eggs to lower cholesterol is completely garbage. It's completely garbage. One of the best things you can do to lower cholesterol is actually to get leaner, put yourself in a deficit. And, there's actually like huge benefits. This is also like talking about like having to fit in all these different healthy foods so we get all my nutrients in. Like some people, not everyone, but some people have that as like a block from getting lean, is like they try and eat so much. But one of the healthiest things for you is actually calorie restriction or fasting. Has very strong health benefits. Not eating, giving your body a break from digesting food, putting yourself in a calorie restrictive state has strong benefits for health. So, I've been kind of a big proponent of fasting for about 11 years. I don't really do longer fasts. Occasionally I'll do a 24-hour fast, but they're pretty tough to do when your body fat is very low. To put yourself in a more of an extended fast, but I try to do
one a week. Yeah, because I was talking to Liver King, and he does one every Wednesday and every Sunday. And people have their opinions on Liver King, but I was like, all right, cool. Like, even though you might be, who knows what you're doing behind the scenes, it doesn't matter. Like, you're promoting primal living and all this stuff, right? And I've had some doctors that didn't agree with me talking to him, but I give everybody a chance. Yeah, I eat liver. It's disgusting. Nice. It's disgusting. I like literally. I try to swallow it as fast as possible, and then I give liver to my dog. They love it. They can't get enough of liver. Like grass-fed liver.
Do you cook it?
No, I cook it. I'm hardcore, but I'm not. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like the liver is where you process everything, and you're gonna eat it raw. It's like, ooh, I feel like there's some pathogens in there that, obviously we've been eating raw liver for hundreds of thousands of years, but we also, there's a theory on the development of the human brain was from cooking food. So, and then mushrooms is the other theory is people did psilocybin and grew the brain in the period of time. But one theory is cooked food. So I prefer to cook my food, but I also love sushi. So I would eat it raw, but liver is pretty rough. But I try to eat one thing of liver for the vitamin A content at least once a day.
Yeah, I want to start test driving liver.
Yeah. Have you ever you've had liver before? Have you ever had it before?
No. I don't think I may have had it like at a random restaurant once. I might have tried to buy it, but I can't really remember vividly if I've had liver.
Would you eat it raw?
One of my coaches that works for me, he eats it raw. I might try it raw. We'll see.
You gotta let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I'll let you know. But for anyone listening that has a weight problem or needs to lose weight, like the best thing you can do for your health really is to get to a leaner state. And like just make that priority number one, And I might try I might have to try the liver.
Try it, man. The
nutrient profile is insane.
It's not even close. Like, it's not even close. There's nothing, even eggs can't compete with it. Like, if you look at the nutrition facts of a tiny piece of liver this big, it's not even close.
Yeah,
that's why every animal goes for the liver.
Damn, I'm actually very deficient in folate. I take folate supplements, but the freaking liver, I'm very sure is very high in folate.
It's not good. It tastes terrible. I just want everyone to know, fair warning, liver does not taste like prime rib or a ribeye steak or a T-bone. You're not going to go to a 5-star fine dining restaurant and expect that the steak that you eat there is going to be like liver, because it is nasty. There are some people that like liver and onions. Those are definitely strange people. Some of my friends like liver and onions. Again, my friends are strange, but it is a very, very interesting taste. It's hard to get down. I just have to I have to chew it so much and just swallow. You know when you're chewing something, you just keep chewing it.
Is it an acquired taste? Do you like it more than when you first had it?
No, it tastes just as shitty now as it did when I started.
Interesting. You ever put some hot sauce on it?
I did. I put Frank's Red Hot. It does make it better. It does make it better. But have you ever had something where when you were chewing it and your body refused to swallow it and you had to force yourself to swallow it? When you're chewing something a ton, usually when you eat raw kale or something, you're just chewing it, and for whatever reason your body's not swallowing. Like when you eat fats, you know what I'm talking about, right? That's how liver is. And I eat meat every day, and I'm it's like me eating raw kale, or my body, I'm just chewing and chewing and chewing, and I have to force myself to swallow it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's not good.
You're not selling the liver on me, but I'll give it a try for fun.
No, for a nutrition standpoint, it's the best. I'm a weirdo where I'll torture myself, and I think torture is one of the biggest. Torturing yourself with ice baths and sauna and exercise and eating stuff like liver is the best thing for your body overall. If we're not stressing our bodies, we're dying, right? So I think, as far as a nutrition standpoint, liver's the best. You're not going to get better than liver, but it does not taste very good. So you could douse it in hot sauce if you like.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I might have to try that. Yeah, it's very, very, it's got very good, interesting. There's liver has a little bit of carbs in it. I wouldn't have expected that. Apparently, does this make any sense? 100 grams has 3.8 carbs. Rarely does meat have, I haven't even heard of that. It has all
right. Now, we were talking about liver. We got cut off. But yeah.
Yeah, I was just checking out the macros on liver. Very good macros. Has a small amount of carbs. I think due to liver glycogen that your liver stores glucose in the form of glycogen, similar to your muscles store glycogen. So, but yeah, I might have to try this liver thing.
Well, don't let me defer you into another direction because of the taste. Hell, you might like it. I don't know. What do you guys eat in Canada?
I might be into the taste of liver. You never know. So I'll definitely try. What are your other favorite foods besides eggs and liver?
Man, it's hard to beat eggs and liver, man. If we're not going for taste, if we're talking about taste, then yeah, there's a million different things. But
I'm a New York strip loin guy. I try and eat a pound of New York strip loin every day.
If you could get your hands on wild game, like wild elk, that where the meat is purple, or have you ever had bear?
No.
Yeah. So the meat comes out blue because some bears, the meat comes out blue, and it's like bright blue because they eat a lot of blueberries. and it's like in their fat and their meat, which is very interesting. If you can get your hands on that, but just a caveat, if you don't cook it correctly, you could die.
Okay.
So there's that.
The small price to pay for the benefits. No.
But if you talk to most hunters, they'll be like, yeah, I guess that's true. But I mean, but elk, if you can get your hands on wild game and wild elk, I don't think there's anything better, because you got to think, like, if you eat a cow, it's this big fat, thing that's not very good at running from predators. If you're eating something that's bred to run away from mountain lions and different types of big cats, you're eating like this super high performance athlete, basically, in the form of an elk. So just like bison, but even bison, they're kind of, compared to an elk, they're relatively slow. So liver is probably the key thing. Every single animal, including killer whales, when they kill any packed animal, and I guess solo animals as well, like tigers, but any animals that go in packs, whether they're under the sea or on land, the alpha always eats the liver. It's the most nutritious, and the alpha eats the liver, and whatever's left over, the rest of the pack eats. But the alpha always eats the liver and everything that eats meat.
All right, man, I'm gonna have to get on the liver. I'm doing it.
But it's not good. So douse that thing in Cholula and Frank's Red Hot, and you should be okay. There's probably some good sauces
It's
up there.
soft, right? Soft texture.
It's very soft. If you cook it a lot, it's kind of mushy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not worried. I'm gonna love it.
I can't wait to hear your reaction. You gotta DM me and let me know how it tastes.
I'll let you know. I'll do it on video.
Yeah, liver and eggs. I don't think there's anything on the planet that's better than liver and eggs as far as overall 80-20, the kinobody program. Like, what's the minimal effective dose for the most nutrition? I would say liver and eggs.
Yeah.
I
gotta try. You like to taste the elk though?
Yeah, elk actually does taste good, but I mean, you can't buy it at the grocery store. You got to know a hunter, or you got to go get it. So
right.
So if you know a hunter that has elk, I know hunters that have elk, but it's not as widely available. So for most people, that's unrealistic. Most people don't know people that hunt elk, right? And even people that hunt elk, you're not successful every time. So it just depends on how much you can actually hunt and kill and bring home. But if you kill one elk, that'll feed you for the whole year.
Yeah.
Which is pretty bizarre. Yeah. I do want to piggyback on the thing that you said about carbs, and a lot of people cut out carbs, and I've definitely made this mistake. But not eating carbs really messes with your circadian rhythm and your sleep quality.
Yeah.
Because of the serotonin production.
Exactly. I noticed this when I did a very low carb diet. My serotonin levels were very low, and it was hard to feel relaxed and sleepy at night. Carbs help with the release of serotonin in the brain, especially if you want a stronger release. Like if you eat like I like to get most of my protein in at dinner, and then so later at night I can just kind of have a low protein meal, like more just carbs and fat, and that actually does a better job at releasing serotonin than if you have like a high amount of protein plus some carbs. So yeah, carbs are really important for that, and if you're doing less than 100 grams of carbs per day, you might find your sleep suffers. Mm-hmm. It can help. Low carb diets can increase cortisol because when you eat more carbs, you're stimulating insulin, which can counteract cortisol, and also when you eat more carbs, you're going to be replenishing and stocking up glycogen levels, which are beneficial for training, for muscle building, and really, like, most of the idea of steering away from carbs is for fat loss. Carbs release insulin. Insulin is bad. Insulin is the cause of obesity. The reality is that if you're eating the correct amount of calories, you're not having an excess amount of insulin. If you're someone that, again, burns 2,500 calories a day and you're eating 2,500, insulin's not a problem. Insulin is a problem when you're someone that burns 2,500 and you're eating 3,500 calories. Like high amounts of insulin is very dose dependent. And, having insulin in the picture is beneficial for muscle preservation of muscle growth. It's the storage hormone that means storage of both fat and muscle. So I like doing something like the best way for someone to be able to tolerate carbohydrates well is one, put yourself in a calorie deficit if you have fat to lose, or if you're, if you're around, so get leaner, be in a calorie deficit, train, if you want to be able to handle carbs well, you want to train. Walking is great to do, but you want to be lifting weights, pushing your body, getting stronger. That will improve insulin sensitivity. And thirdly, fasting. If you can do a short fast every day, if you wake up, say you wake up at 8 in the morning, fast till 11 or 12. Fasting will also heighten insulin sensitivity. But carbs become a problem when you're inactive. You're eating too many calories. And that's not just too many carbs. That's too much freaking sugar, too much fat, just too much overall calories. And when you're inactive and you're eating too much, and then add stress into the picture as well, and nutrient deficiencies, it's not very good. But again, people are operating very the mainstream operates in extremes of lots of carbs or no carbs. I like the moderate approach, a moderate amount of carbs. Eat your freaking eggs, your liver, your lean meats, and have some fruits and potatoes, and you will perform best. But I think a lot of people make the assumption hey, I don't handle carbs well because they haven't they've tried the higher carb approach, and oh yeah, I eat carbs and maybe my energy's down or this and that. But if you eat more of a balanced diet, focusing on steak and eggs and fruit, fruits is carbs, right? But if you focus on more of a balanced ratio and healthy filling foods and eating more filling carbohydrates, more potatoes instead of rice, etc., apples and raspberries, you're going to find you do very well with carbohydrates in your diet. I noticed that when I went from low carb to eating a balance of carbs, I actually recompositioned. I slept better. My strength went up. I felt better. My testosterone levels. I didn't actually have it tested at that time, but I noticed, when I wasn't doing carbs, I wouldn't wake up often with morning wood, and then I started bringing carbs in the diet, and all that was changed
Facts.
overnight almost. Yeah. So very, 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 very few people need to go very low carb. Very, very, very few people. I know some people do it and swear by it, but that's very rare. Most people, if you start putting yourself in a calorie deficit, you start training right, you start eating healthy, wholesome food, you're gonna function best, with a moderate amount of carbs. And I would say the very lowest I would go is a gram per pound of lean body mass. So if you're a bigger guy, you got 160 pounds of lean body mass, I wouldn't go below 160, and I prefer to see 1.5 grams per pound. I'm around the low mid 200 gram of carbs a day.
Yeah,
I don't like to go.
A lot
I don't like people. Yeah, some people go low fat and go up to 400 grams of carbs a day. I don't like that in the least. I kind of like more of that I like more of that moderate zone. But what is considered low moderate has been in the medical community, low carbs is 30% of your calories from carbs is considered low carbs in the medical community. I'll probably stay around 40% carbs usually per day.
Yeah, I also noticed too, and I'm curious to think what your theory is on this, is I stopped eating later at night, and I noticed that if I could not eat past 6, even if I were to eat, a little bit of questionable foods for most people, if you're eating off the rails type of stuff, if you eat 5 to 6 hours prior to sleeping, I noticed that even eating bad foods, it was hard for me to gain weight versus the people that swam McDonald's on the way home from the club and then go right to sleep. Do you have any? Have you tested any theories on that?
I think that's more of a byproduct of calorie control, where by not eating after 6, you have an easier time being in a bigger deficit than if you were to allow yourself eating later. But I personally eat close to bedtime. Like I can't do, like I like to feel full or relatively satisfied when I go to sleep. If I'm like haven't eaten in 5 hours, it's harder for me to sleep. But again, a lot of these things is finding out what works best for you. But theoretically, like if you're eating 2,300 calories and your last meal is at 6 o'clock, or 2,300 calories and you're eating the last snack at midnight, it theoretically shouldn't make much of a difference. And even growth, people might argue like that, oh, if you stop eating 3 hours before bedtime, you'll get a greater growth hormone secretion. It still shouldn't make much of a difference. And the growth hormone, like, it still is pulsing throughout the night, so it's not going to make a massive difference. But I mean, ideally, like, stop eating like a couple hours before bedtime. But again, like, all of this really comes down to is what is the most enjoyable way for you to consistently be in a calorie deficit, and a modest one at that. And if not eating after 6 helps you, that's good. But where that really came from was, like, people typically will eat breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. And so if they're eating like late at night, it's just an increase, a surplus of calories. So
that's that's an interesting point too. Yeah. I've heard the growth hormone theory and people using that as a way to say that eating right before you go to sleep, and then also digesting, your body's focusing on digesting and breaking down the food versus repairing the rest of your body. I've heard that one before.
I like to do like, if you go to sleep at 11 o'clock and you have a big dinner at 6, if you eat something lighter at 8:39 or like 9 o'clock, I don't think that's a big deal. But I wouldn't like eat like the majority of your calories right before dinner.
Yeah, right before you go to sleep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what's a game changer for me? This isn't food, but besides liver and eggs, this is the biggest game changer. I got this from Derek from More Plates, More Dates, was prior to going to the gym, injectable L-Carnitine. Have you ever tried this?
No.
It is game changer. Complete game changer.
About injectable L-Carnitine. I was confused. I didn't really. I was like, like, I wonder, like.
Yeah. So apparently, from Merrick Health, their top endocrinologist, he was on Huberman's Lab, the Huberman Lab podcast, and he was talking about it, that besides taking anabolics, obviously, the only amino acid, I guess you could say, or the only thing besides blasting steroids that increases the density of the androgen receptor is injectable L-Carnitine. So whatever you inject it into will increase slowly, because androgens move slowly. It's the only thing that will increase the density of the androgen receptor. That's why guys that are typically on gear have huge shoulders, and it's really easy because you store the most androgen receptors in your shoulders. So for natural, gaining those giant boulder shoulders is really hard. And guys that are on gear, the first thing you see is that 3-dimensional shoulders. Besides the pimples on your back and the 3-dimensional shoulders, you're like, yeah, that guy's juicing. But the reason why the shoulders develop is because there's the most androgen receptors in the shoulders. So I started doing that about 2 months ago, and like my shoulders definitely got bigger, and I definitely feel that I got stronger. I also had an interesting training program that I did prior to lifting heavy that I'm going to ask you about. But yeah, L-Carnitine injectable, definitely try it. It's nothing crazy. Okay. It's not like super great. You're not going to feel like you're on, like, I've never taken Tren, but you're not going to feel like you're on steroids or anything. But
yeah, it
is good. Yeah.
I heard of L-Carnitine, like, basically increasing androgen receptor density. Taking the supplemental form, even like the like we included L-Carnitine tartrate in our creatine supplement. But I didn't realize, like, so injecting it only really benefits that site.
Yeah, that's why a lot of guys, they'll switch. They'll take like half of syringe in the left arm and half of the syringe in the right arm, or they'll do vice versa. Like one day they'll do right arm, one day they'll do left arm.
And they take it like multiple days a week.
I mean, I do it every time I work out.
Damn.
Yeah. Right.
It must be a pretty big injection.
1 gram.
or like it goes in deep?
Yeah, you use like insulin needles, but then it's like intramuscular, and you have to like I push, so it hits the skin, but then I'll like push it in even farther to make sure it gets into the muscle.
That's pretty intense. That's big commitment. That's big.
It's
commitment.
not that bad. People, I don't know. People are scared of. I don't know. I have no problem injecting, self-administering myself.
And you've seen a big difference.
Yeah, in the roundness, but it took a while. Like I would say 2 months. Yeah, 2 months.
Wow.
I also had a extreme like strength gain in my bench, and I don't know if it was from doing the L-Carnitine or in a combination of my shoulder regimen, but I did high repetition shoulders on the cable machines. I did extremely high, like 25 to 30, sometimes even 50 reps every single day, 4 times a week. All I worked out was shoulders. I was like, I'm going to only work out shoulders, and I'm going to rip the muscle down to the bare minimum. This is completely counterintuitive to what everyone says, but I'm just going to rip it at high levels and just see what happens. I'm going to do that for 2 months. And I did that for 2 months and didn't max out, didn't do anything but shoulders, literally cable, side laterals, rear, front. And then I did some military press, but it was all super, super high reps. And I did that for 2 months. And then I did bench press. My bench press went up 40 pounds.
Shit.
But I started taking L-Carnitine. So I think it was a combination of both, but I don't know.
It sounds like the L-Carnitine in my eyes would, take the that seems like the connection.
But I've heard Larry Wields say that he wants to max out every time he goes to the gym because he's a power lifter at heart. But he said every time that he goes high reps 1 week, he always comes back way stronger. So it's like,
Yeah, you know what? That's like, I think that's an example where like what got him very, very strong and helped him hit that PR is the heavy lifting. But then that 1 week of higher reps basically just kind of keeps him fresh, gives his body a break from the sheer high intensity of lifting heavy. And so he comes back stronger because he has like a new level of recovery and maybe he's improving his work capacity. But if he was to only just do high reps, week in, week out, his strength would, go down.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Like absolutely. Otherwise like the strongest people in the world would not even do 3, 4, 5 rep sets. They would just hit high reps week, day in, day out. And then they'd come in and set PRs, but that's very common. Like sometimes like, you might like you spend the majority of time doing something and then you change it and then you see like this result. And it's like, that was just the icing on the cake that gave you the result. The real work was done,
before, prior and taking the rest. Yeah. Or doing L-Carnitine and eating liver. Yeah. I definitely think
there's something to say about like, hey, if you've been lifting heavy for months and months and months, take a couple weeks, drop the weight, go lighter and come back. But again, like like this stuff, like people are going to respond slightly differently. And this is stuff that like, you can test out for yourself and see. But if that stuff's working for you and you're up, 40 pounds on your, like, that's huge.
But I don't know. Again, it might be the L-Carnitine injections for 2 months. It might be, so. But it might be. Who knows? It might be the liver of the 10 eggs a day. Your
bench went from 365 to 405.
Yeah. Like it was weird. I didn't bench for like 3-4 months, and I was like, I could put on 10 more pounds. I was like, I could put on 10 more pounds.
And your weight stayed the same?
No, I got lighter, Greg. That's what I was saying.
Right. No, I know.
It's like shit you hear with guys that do gear.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like the L-Carnitine is pretty fucking powerful.
Yeah, definitely try.
That's actually like, people are obsessed about their testosterone levels. Oh, my testosterone. Well, what's much more integral in muscle growth is how your body like responds to that testosterone and androgen receptor density.
My free testosterone. I didn't even qualify for TRT. Like I was like, well, maybe I'll get it, whatever. I want to be optimal, obviously. And they're like, you don't even qualify for it because my normal test was like 650 for my total test, but my free was like the top 1%. They're like, you're utilizing all. I don't even know. I'd have to check, but whatever the range was. Was that?
Was it like mid-20s?
I think it was like 29.
Yeah, that's really high.
Yeah, so she's like, you don't even qualify, so we can't even prescribe it to you. But there's other things like you can get on enclomiphene if you want like a natural test booster or whatever. But I was like, nah, I'm okay. So, but also I've heard too that L-Carnitine injectable increases your natural levels, and then I also take NMN, which is the precursor to NAD. And apparently, if you increase your NAD levels, your testosterone goes to the roof. So I have to take a blood test. The only way to do it is like to do it for 3 months and then take a blood test to really check. But I think in combination of all those things definitely helped my strength.
When did you start doing the NMN?
Well, I was doing pure injectable NAD. Like I was just doing injectable NAD, but then I heard David Sinclair says that in his studies that it's not bioavailable even with injection. So I stopped doing injectable NAD because my theory was like, okay, well, why would I take a precursor if I could just take NAD? Why would I take cholesterol if it's a precursor to testosterone? If I would just take testosterone, then that's what I want, right? So that's kind of how I approached it with the NAD. But apparently, just injecting NAD, your body doesn't absorb it. It's like foreign to your body. So you have to take. The most bioavailability was taking NMN, and then there's also NR, but it's not as good as NMN. But you have to find a super high quality product. Most of the products that you find are complete dog shit, and they don't even last. By the time they get to you, they're heat sensitive. They don't even work, so people are just wasting their money. So you have to find like a specific brand that works. But I noticed with that, and yeah, the endocrinologist from Merrick Health, he said your diet is your motor, your NAD levels is your fuel, your backup fuel is your creatine levels, and then the tube that connects your fuel to your motor is L-Carnitine injectable.
Interesting. Wow.
That's how the guy from Merrick Health.
This is some higher level. This is some higher level stuff, man.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I was like, okay, knowing me, I'm like, I'm going to do everything to a T, like Navy SEAL discipline. So I did NAD. I take creatine, and then the injectable L-Carnitine. It definitely works. Definitely have a lot more energy for sure. I do want to get my blood work done soon. And
what's the NMN? Is it a capsule or is it an injection?
Capsule.
Yeah. NMN.
Yeah.
Did you were you able to ever check if your NAD levels went up?
No. That's why I have to go get my blood work done again and check.
Were you taking the NMN before you had your free testosterone at 29, or after?
I was taking injectable NAD, but David Sinclair says that you're basically wasting your money.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of dive into some of this stuff. Definitely sounds interesting. This is like, obviously for anyone listening, this is getting into like, extremely like this is very few people would ever need to focus on this. Like this is like the biggest levers are going to just be sensible training, proper nutrition, hitting the right calories, tracking your lifts, getting strong. Like this is more like this is interesting discussion.
And a lot of people, they'll focus on like the high end stuff. Like they'll want the prescription drugs and they'll totally throw away the basics, which, viewing sunlight and eating the right diet and exercising and all the basic stuff. They'll just say, okay, cool. Sorry, that's boring shit. Let's just go to the prescription drugs. And it's very important that you have a good base. And then any type of supplement, whether it's nootropic, whether it's KinoBrain or anything that you implement into the system, it's always the best is like those things work the best when you have a very, very strong base and you've established all of the basics. Then you can start adding the fancy designer, now you can wear the Gucci hat and the Gucci belt, but you got to make sure you're wearing pants first.
Yeah. Yeah. Good sleep, sunlight, vitamin D,
Yep.
Managing stress, intense lifting, walking, proper nutrition. That's like gets you pretty much as far
low stress.
It's as far as most people want to get, I've been in consistent shape for the last like 5 years.
No, dude, you're the natty god. No pun intended. Like there's no one that tells the truth and is consistent, is consistently consistently looks like you year round for years and has the clients that have implemented not using drugs. Every single person that, whether they admit it or not, these top fitness influencers, they all juice. At very minimum, they're taking testosterone. Okay, they're not doing trenbolone sandwiches or they're not doing D-ball, but they're taking TRT, right? Whether they're
I've seen, like, even just yesterday, I was scrolling TikTok and someone was talking about someone getting exposed, and like this one YouTuber, they're every test they do, their testosterone levels are just all over the place. And I think they did like a test that was at 650 and then one that was at 215, 22-year-old 215. And the LH levels dropped a lot. And he was like, yeah, I just think I have low testosterone issues. Like I'm overstressed. It's like, no, the only way that would happen is if you were freaking running gear and went off, and it could be anything. It could be Anavar, it could be SARMs, whatever. And then the levels were suppressed. Maybe they're even more suppressed and they came back a little bit. And that got, so it's
we need more plates, more dates. Derek, sound the alarm. We need some dissection, Derek.
Yeah. I mean, the closest thing you can do to really create a strong case that you're most likely natural is to get yourself in your peak shape and get your levels checked and show pretty much everything.
Yes. And don't take stuff, guys, please. I've made this mistake because I took SARMs 7 years ago when it first came out, the YK11s, the MK677s, when it was like still legal to sell at vitamin shops. Please, please do your research before you take stuff, because anything that you take that increases your testosterone exogenously will shut you down. That's why L-Carnitine injectable is so awesome, because it doesn't shut you down. Everything shuts you down. And I took SARMs and I was like, wow, why are my testicles so much smaller? And then years later, when my testicles like grew back to normal size, I was like, oh wow, I didn't even realize, but by taking YK11 shut me down. And I bought it at like a nutrition store here in Florida. And did your levels did you have to like go on TRT, stay on TRT, or did your levels return naturally? They returned naturally, but it took years. But damn. I didn't even know. That's the thing. I had no idea that I shut myself down. I was just like, why are my testicles so much smaller than they used to be? But now going, talking to experts in the field, they're like, oh yeah, like SARMs will shut you down. There's no way around it. Like, don't believe the BS. Like, they will shut you down. And I remember for the longest time, I was like, this is weird. It took about a year, but I never took like a PCT because I didn't think I was shutting myself down.
Yeah. And like, I honestly get that question so much. So like, I got it more last year, I think, but so many people are like SARMs. It's like everyone's.
Oh, it shuts you down. You have to take testosterone. If you take a SARM, you have to be on testosterone.
Yeah, everyone's trying to like find like this kind of like shortcut. But again, yeah, and even if someone's gonna take something, I would say it's probably like the problem with SARMs is that there's not really much research long term, so we don't know. It could technically be worse than taking
probably
testosterone. Yeah,
probably. People are always looking at like, what's the best way that I can take something and look amazing, but I'm still natural. It's like, bro, you're not natural once you start taking something. Like, yeah, I think the natural line stops with creatine.
Yeah.
After creatine, anything past creatine maybe injectable L-Carnitine. That's like on the line of like, we're about to push it. But once you go past that, you're not natural anymore. So you might as well do the real stuff. If you're gonna take a SARM, you might as well just do TRT. And if you're gonna take a SARM and not take TRT, I guarantee you your testicles are gonna shrink. And if you take a blood test, your test levels are gonna be cut in half.
It's not worth it,
It's not worth it. But most guys, they're young, they take it, they want to look good, they want to get chicks, they want to stand out. It's just normal human emotions that drive us, ego, and but that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, and I think like most people can build like the perfect amount of muscle that looks good, that gets like all the attention that they want, and they feel like, they fucking feel confident naturally.
Yeah.
You can get the result. Like deep down, like, you know, even if you look at like, you know, Brad Pitt in Troy, like he wasn't that massive. He was lean with good proportion and like really focused on the shoulders. And most people, if they're willing to train consistently, not for 3 months off and then go off, like for months and months, years and years, train consistently, track your lifts, really like dedicate yourself to the gym, you can just build like a great level of muscle. And again, like most of the muscle gains that you're going to get happen in the first 3 years.
Yeah.
Like the first year you can gain the most amount of muscle you can gain in the first year. And then it goes down quite a bit on the second year. And then it almost gets cut in half every year. And so like the first few years of lifting, you can just put on muscle really well as a natural. And then after that, you're just kind of making fine-tuned improvements and all that. But like, again, like if someone's sort of like, if you've never been consistent lifting weights weekly for 2 years, you really don't know tracking lifts. You don't know what your body's capable of. And like my mind, like my way of thinking has always been like, whatever result I want to achieve with my physique, I can do it naturally. I just gotta crack the code. I gotta figure it out. If I want to get up to 100-pound shoulder presses, I can figure that out. And if I hit a plateau, that doesn't mean, oh, I got to take a drug. It's like, all right, let me fix something with my training. Let me adjust something here. Let me try and figure this out. And I always had that mindset, like that self-belief that, you know, within reason, I can achieve everything I want. Like I understand like the genetic, like the, you know, natural limits. Like I'm not going to be 200 pounds of shredded, but like I can look how I want to look. And I think people need to kind of adopt that mindset of realizing like, hey, if you completely apply yourself, if you work hard in the gym, you track your results, yes, you're going to hit plateaus. Yes, you're going to have roadblocks, but you can get past them. You can build a really, really good body naturally. And no, you're not going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But, you know, like Ryan Reynolds is a good example of, obviously he's very lean, but he doesn't have that much muscle. He's a 6'2" guy.
He was a beast in Amityville Horror. He was shredded.
Yeah, no, he looks terrific in Amityville Horror.
Yeah, he was shredded, jacked, and he had a beard. Also, a lot of it is downlighting too. That makes you look like so much better than like you normally would look. 100-pound overhead press is a lot. I haven't tried that yet. I do incline press. I do 150s for 4, 150 dumbbells for 4, but that's incline. I'm scared to go above. I'm scared because I don't want to hurt my rotator cuff.
Yeah, you don't have to go crazy heavy. Like once you get up to a certain level, then, you know, it's tempting to try and push past it. But when you're in your 30s, like if you've been lifting weights for 15 years and you're in your 30s, like it's, you know, you're probably not going to be, and you're staying natural, you're probably not going to be hitting any insane PRs.
Unless you do kinobody program and you take L-Carnitine and eat liver.
yeah, get the carnitine. Yeah, then maybe.
You know what, the L-Carnitine though, it's direct. You absorb 100% of it. With the biggest problem with taking like L-Carnitine capsules is you have to take 10 times the amount to absorb what you really would with a little tiny syringe of L-Carnitine.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely that makes sense there. But
it takes so much.
I've been lifting weights since I was like 13, and like definitely hit
same.
Like peak strength.
I'm 30.
Damn.
So
my peak strength was like 27, 28.
Oh, really? I'm the strongest now.
Good. Yeah, I've kind of gotten back to peak strength like here and there at like 29, 30. But I just find it's like, I find it for me, like I definitely like felt an easier time like really hitting high like weights in my late 20s. A little bit.
Yeah, you get that muscle maturity too. That's why when you see a guy in college and he has the muscle maturity, you're like, you're on stop line. You're on steroids. You don't have that 35-year-old muscle bodybuilder muscle maturity striations. There's difference between young muscles and old muscles. And when a guy is in college and he has that old muscle striation, no,
100%. That's, you don't get that. Like, you know, I've seen like little small improvements in that like density, you know?
Yeah. Well, when you try the L-Carnitine injectable, you'll have more natural androgen receptor density that you would, similar to taking androgens by themselves, which I don't advise anybody doing. You know what I think is more impressive about you, though, is...
And last question on the L-Carnitine, is that something that like that can have a long-term benefit if you stop taking it, or if you stop taking it, you kind of slowly lose those benefits?
In my experience and from all the research that I've done, is like, once the androgen receptor increases the density, it's not going to go backwards. You might not be able to keep the same size of shoulders, but it's like fighters that have done. There's a big debate about this. Fighters that did steroids when they were younger and now they're clean, and USADA's testing them. They're claiming that even though they're clean at late 20s or 30s, they still have an advantage over a complete natural that's never done it, because once you push your androgen receptors to a certain level, once you've taken exogenous testosterones or exogenous androgens and you've taken steroids, your muscles change and they form a certain way that is completely unrealistic as a natural. And even if you stop taking it, your muscles have memory. You're always going to be stronger, better if you took steroids in the past, even if you're a natural. So the big thing with the UFC and boxing is, yeah, they're natural now, but if you took steroids at any point of your career, you're going to be better if you never took it from a performance standpoint. And I think that's the same thing with the L-Carnitine, is when you're taking it, yes, you're increasing the androgen receptor density. Is it going to be the same as injecting right before you go into the gym? Probably not, but you're not going to go completely backwards, and everything has memory in the body. So once you push through that wall, it's pretty hard to go backwards.
Right.
So
yeah, and that's what I figured. Yeah. Especially if you're increasing androgen density permanently.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a big debate.
Cool,
That's a big debate too with fighters, because a lot of people complain. They're like, yeah, he's clean now, but he still has an advantage because his muscles have already been to a super physiological level. So
yeah, I think I honestly have very good androgen receptor density naturally.
No, your shoulders, you have great shoulders. Yeah. Yeah. I always want huge shoulders. I could care less about my chest. I just didn't want, bitch tits. I wanted a tight chest, but I wanted the big shoulders. I've seen guys at the gym, back to Dwight Howard. I've seen guys, no arms, skinny, tiny arms.
Yeah.
Like just a I wouldn't say a flat chest, but there's zero dimension to their chest, just a tight chest, abs, small waist, and huge shoulders and huge traps. That guy got all the girls. There's one guy I knew. He was I guess you could say ectomorph. He did steroid. He did testosterone all through his 20s. I knew this guy, but he was a very, very hard gainer. Like, he couldn't, before steroids or before testosterone, he was scrawny. But when he started taking steroids, he had the small waist, shredded abs. He had no arms, just like normal guy at the gym arms, no chest, just tight, huge shoulders and huge traps. And he looked like he had like a hanger. Like when he was walking around the club, he looked like he had a hanger right here. It was bizarre, and he got all the girls. So if you're gonna do an 80-20, like the shoulders and traps by far. Like, even if you just have traps, I've seen guys with decent shoulders and traps that stick out from the back, and you just look so much bigger than you really are. So
yeah, even doing some neck work too makes you look kind of bigger on the top half. I'm big.
Your shoulders are probably again, back to naturals. Like, obviously, if we're comparing people that are taking gear, we're in a different category. But compared to naturals, like, yeah, your shoulders are definitely like with the 1%, like top 1%. And you haven't even done the injectable L-Carnitine yet. Come on, Greg.
Not even. I know. I don't know if I'd want my shoulders much bigger. I think like pretty big. And yeah, I started
we always
to
want bigger shoulders, Greg. Come on.
Yeah. I started to really optimize my training for shoulders. And, that meant like doing
80-20. It goes along with your program completely. Shoulders and traps. Like, that's why I did shoulders for 2 months. That's all I did was shoulders, because all I cared about was shoulders.
Yeah.
It's the best muscle.
And it's actually the biggest muscle in the upper body, the shoulders. People thought it was the chest or lats.
Yeah,
it's actually,
chest. Yeah.
The shoulders have the most potential for growth and by sheer weight. So you can like gain the most muscle mass like through the shoulders compared to chest, lats, etc. And
Yeah.
triceps are number 2, believe it or not. So shoulders and triceps have the two like most, but shoulders and traps make you like pop.
Yeah, they do. To make it simple as possible for the listeners, if you have big shoulders and big traps and you're not fat, you're going to look great. Period.
No.
It's that simple. You don't have to be doing lat pull downs and all this bullshit. No, like shoulders, traps, don't be fat. Period.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
You're gonna, and then like just by the nature of where the shoulders and traps are located, if someone's looking at you head to head, they see your sheer like power from shoulders and traps. They don't see your lower chest. They don't see your biceps. And
even arms. So I would argue arms really. I mean, you don't want pencil arms, but as long as your arms are decent, like they're not that important.
Yeah, but the physique gets completely messed up if you have big arms, big chest, small shoulders.
Oh yeah, then you look like Mike the Situation.
Yeah, like Mike the Situation, or you look like a like you see like a grandma or woman that just puts on a lot of fat. They're adding like size to their chest and even their arms, and like you don't develop that masculine. That's probably why that guy got a lot of female attention, was because he just had those signs of masculinity. Big shoulders, tight waist.
I've heard, Dr. David Buss, one of the best social psychologists around. He says, women are attracted to shoulders, like the ratio from shoulder to waistline. The bigger shoulders you are, and the more proportion they are, the more you're going to attract the opposite sex. Like it's a fact.
And you know what? Interestingly enough about him, and for people listening, like he did some videos on what women found attractive in men, and they like men that were fit and strong, but they weren't as drawn to like the bulky, cumbersome like bodybuilder look. So it's like this is kind of what I teach, and this is like kind of, there's no need to do anabolics. Like lean with muscle looks great.
The only girls that like that are the girls that are lifting, because I do know some girls that are like super hardcore in the lifting and they only date juice heads. But that's the only girls that like that, are like the girls that love the freak shows, or the girls that are doing the competitions and are obsessed, like the gym rats.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there is a niche that is into that. But like, it's not like the cute
majority of college girls are not going to go for the big juice head, but there are a small percentage of fitness models that only go for juice heads.
Yeah,
that's in my experience.
Small niche. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's trying to crack. I don't know that many people trying to crack into that niche, but but overall, yeah.
But what women like more than shoulders, and what women like more than chiseled jaw lines, is money and financial security. And I think, okay, so what's more impressive to me about you than getting ripped and having the shoulders, and you start eating liver and doing injectable L-Carnitine, that's all great and all, right? And you look great, and a lot of people look good.
I haven't tried the injectable L-Carnitine.
Not yet. Oh, we might be on a different fucking hemisphere once you jump on that.
We'll see.
Ask Derek about injectable L-Carnitine.
I was talking to him the other day. I'll ask him about it.
He can get it from Merrick Health. He can get it for you.
Yeah, I don't know if he can get stuff to Canada, but.
Oh yeah, he's Canadian, but his Merrick Health is I think it's in Idaho.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a big. I'd have to tell my followers I'm doing injectable carnitine, but I'll have to think about that.
Ask Derek. He's a huge proponent of it. But back to what I was saying, what women like more than anything is financial security. And what I think is the most impressive about you is most guys that look like you or that are shredded are broke. That's a fact. Most guys you see at the gym that are shredded and look great, they're broke. What's more impressive with you is your business side. So I want to take it back to 2015, 2016, when I saw a kinobody ad. And I don't think you had supplements. I think you were just doing programs. When was it, like when you signed up your business account and you started running Facebook ads? First off, did you just have like this like eureka moment where you ran some ads and it just took off? Or did you have some strategy? Did someone teach you how to run ads and do media buying and use Google Pixels and Facebook Pixels and stuff? Like, where did that come from? Because you kind of came on the scene back in 2015, 2016 out of nowhere, and then boom, you were like in the spotlight and you were making tons of money. And then you have like I always tell people about your house, that you have like the Wayne Manor house, like your house. Like if you were Batman, he would live at your house in Toronto because it looks like the Wayne Manor. I'm sure you've heard that before. So you actually might be Batman. I've never seen Batman and Greg in the same room before. So who knows? but what was that? Did you like study marketing or take like a Facebook ads course? When did the business side?
I didn't, but I actually don't. I've never really run any of the Facebook ads myself. I just naturally had a gift towards marketing. And for me, the mindset with marketing was just really like making the fucking brand as cool as shit and like making it something that I would respond to. What would I want as a customer? What would make me excited about this program? What would get me into it? And I just kind of wrote more so to myself, and then a lot of the things naturally just developed through just running the business. Like I had a few different fitness courses. The number one question I got was, hey, which program should I get? Which one is for me? And so I answered that question so many times. I'm like, let's just make a simple quiz that will figure out which program someone should do. And that quiz like boosted my business massively, where I'd be like, hey, take my physique quiz, and people would find the right program, and our conversions were super high. And then I wanted to like create a video that would basically explain cinematically and in 2.5 or like in 3-4 minutes, what is my philosophy? Like I wanted to capture attention, get attention, and like show them my philosophy. And we created like this Bruce Wayne video. And then that was in the end of 2015. And then in 2016, I just saw all these people running lots and lots of ads. And I'm like, man, like, they're spending a fortune on these ads. They must be making a decent amount of money. And someone that I kind of had a friend that was kind of into ads or that was working with me on something. And I just told him, I was like, hey man, I'll pay you to figure this out for me. And we just started running that Bruce Wayne video, and like our sales just quadrupled, and it was easier to make money. Like there's certain periods of time when it was a lot easier to make money on ads. Now it's definitely very, very hard because it's so much competition. The prices are higher and this and that. But just kind of ran those ads, and then I started filming more content, more ad pieces and stuff like that. But the business stuff just like happened very organically. I didn't do like some crazy course or anything. Just kind of been my mission, building this company, transforming people's lives. I'm inspired by the transformations, and I'm like, man, like I think a lot of fitness people, they kind of just they want to just, train their clients or write the program, but they don't want to like market it. And, you can create the best program in the world. You can have the best information in the world, but if you can't get people, if you can't get attention, or you can't get people to find you, or even like people can find you, but if you can't inspire someone to take action, and that's like, we talked about behavioral change. Well, one of the powerful things about my programs is, yeah, people buy them, but people fucking get engulfed in them, and they become keto warriors, and they are like into the fasting. They're telling their friends about it. They're drinking sparkling water. They're hitting a key list, and they're freaking keto warriors, and they're loving it. And so people need to like learn how to, if you want to be a leader and you want to have an impact, if people aren't paying attention to you and people aren't getting excited about you and people don't want to follow in your footsteps, you're not a leader.
Yeah.
And you don't have, you don't have impact. And
so let's say, and that's true too. One, I think you'd be a better Batman than Robert Pattinson, for the record.
I appreciate that.
For sure. I think you look more like Bruce Wayne than he did. He just looked like a emo, depressed, mad at the world type of guy. I feel like you're more balanced. And you got the house. Yeah, I think your house is better than his in that movie. But if somebody wanted to replicate your process, right? Let's say you're new to the game. Maybe you're young, you're starting out and you are in good shape, you're obsessed with fitness and you want this to be your job. You hate working your bartending job, and you want to do something. Now, I think it's a kind of unfair to compare yourself to most people, because most people, you hit a niche of that movie star, it couldn't have been perfect the way that you hit it. You found a specific niche that everybody loved and nobody thought about selling it. And that movie star Hollywood thing, you would take clips from, Brad Pitt from Fight Club. You would take, all these different guys, like Troy, and you would take these different clips of movie stars. And we all look at guys like, for instance, the new Thor that came out, when his shirt rips off and he's shredded, everyone's like, oh my God. Meanwhile, everyone knows that he's juicing, but it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, I want to be that movie star bod, right? He's a little too big for what you're pushing. But, you did a really good job from a marketing side of pushing that, like what everybody wanted. And nobody thought about that market. They were thinking about the more traditional market. And then most of the people that were selling fitness courses were on steroids. So it's kind of hard to tell someone starting off, like a young Greg, if you can go back in time and tell young Greg, okay, listen, this is the do's and the don'ts. It's kind of hard because you had a specific niche that you tapped into, and then people can't copy your niche because you're the guy in that specific movie star niche. But if you were to go back and tell somebody else similar to young Greg, definitely don't do this and definitely triple down on this, what would that be?
Well, I'd say, like, one, you want to really, really be certain this is the path you want to take, because it's going to be more work than most people think. And the results are going to take longer than, most people want. Like, I didn't, it took time to really make money. It didn't happen. Like, I was excited making, $60 a week in the beginning, I was excited just getting a couple little sales. So it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to be a lot more than you think. So, like, if you have this fantasy that, oh yeah, I'm going to start this and then boom, I'm going to make, like, it's not going to happen. Two, the reason you're going to launch this, like, there has to be a reason. Like, you need to create something that isn't already there or delivered in a unique way. So if you're just trying to, like, be anyone else, it doesn't make sense. You need to, like, be unique in some capacity. And, like, I guess for me, that was, like, teach people how to get a certain look. I was one of, like, the very few proponents of fasting at the time. And I kind of, like, I tried to achieve my goal, solve my problems with other people's programs. I couldn't do it. I had to, like, create my own strategy and just uncover different steps constantly. So, like, if you're just kind of, if you can really have a strong reason why you're creating something, and really, like, think about putting something amazing together for yourself, like that, the best thing to enter, like, the best way to enter into, like, business is to be like, I am frustrated with what is in the market, with the services and products. I wish they had X, Y, and Z. I wish they showed you how to do this. I wish they delivered this. I wish they gave this. Because if you feel like that, chances are lots and lots of other people are going to feel like that. And you just found, a void in the market. That's the best way to enter into business. Create something that people want, that you want, that's not already there. And, I guess these days it's about creating a very strong, compelling offer, something that people really want, that sucks them in, being good at really inspiring people, being good at copywriting, and then, basically just creating a system to get people into your offer. And again, it's not easy. It's actually very, very hard. And I've seen people try and, like, do what I did, or even people that had followers and they just couldn't get the sales. And so, people, like, join my program because they love the message. They love, they can see the authority of someone that has been dedicated to this for decades. They see the results I get. They see the passion that I have for this. And it's like, there's a lot of things that I'm hitting. And, to get someone to really not just open up the credit card and pay $100, $200 or whatever or more, but to get someone to really dedicate themselves to following your system for months and months, it takes a decent amount. So, I mean, my natural impulse is, like, not to try and, pull people in, yeah, you can do this too. It's like push people away. Like very few people are going to do it. And like I see more people succeeding in like the YouTube game and vlogs and stuff than actually like building a fitness company where they're selling supplements or programs. And forget supplements. Supplements is like a huge amount of money to start up, and if you don't have customers that are already excited to buy, it's huge marketing costs. And and it's like a supplement business is requires a lot of money, and like if you can get customers easily, then yeah, you can do well. But if you can't market yourself and get customers for the right price, then you're just gonna lose hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. And what Tim Ferriss says is scratch your own itch, and that's kind of what you did and what you're still doing. I could say the one thing about you as an entrepreneur that stands out, and I mean this, is, well, first, let me tell you this. So I've talked to you for about 2 hours now. I watched your entire video with Derek, and for someone that has success, that has what most people want, especially they see the Bruce Wayne house, they see the Porsche, they see the hot girls, and they see that you're the ideal male that like most, especially college guys, want to become, right? You would think that you are the type of guy that knows everything. You're like, I'm Greg Gallagher. I made tons of money and I live in this giant mansion. I look like a Greek god. Like, what can you tell me? Unless you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, like, what can you tell me? And I watched you on Derek with More Plates, More Dates. And even in this interview and our conversation here today, is you are very humble in your approach and you're very optimistic. I used to work with Ty Lopez, and he was telling a story about Elon Musk. And he met Elon Musk. Elon Musk was picking up his car at the valet, and they were in Hollywood. And Ty Lopez pulled behind Elon Musk, and he said, Elon. And Elon turned around. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're the marketing guy." And he said, "Yeah." And Elon said, "Well, I have a question about Tesla's marketing. What do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And what do you think about this?" And he asked him a ton of questions. Meanwhile, he's outside of the valet on Sunset Boulevard in the middle of the street. Elon's hammering Ty Lopez about marketing. And at the time, Ty didn't think anything of it. And he's answering all these marketing questions because, Ty is the marketing expert, right? And Elon goes, interesting. I didn't think about that. Got in his car and drove away. And Ty Lopez thought, I didn't get to ask him anything. He picked my brain. And he's Elon Musk, the smartest man, richest guy in the world. And I think what makes a high-level individual and entrepreneur is someone that is willing to, even with all the success, is willing to be optimistic and ask questions and not be a know-it-all. And from talking to you and seeing you on various interviews, I think that's one of the big reasons why you're successful is you're adaptable and you're humble and you don't think you know it all, even with all the success that you've had. And I think that you're a really good role model for people that maybe if they see you on Instagram, they might think differently of you. But if they really watch you talk as a person, not just as this like Instagram influencer, like bullshit, how people view influencers, if they really listen to Greg, the person, I think the key takeaway is you ask questions and your ego is completely like dismantled when you talk to someone. And that's the true sign of a genius. So I think people, besides the shoulders and besides the Bruce Wayne house, I think people can take that away from you for sure and use that in their own life. Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, I really, really appreciate that story. That's a really, really, that's a freaking awesome story. Damn. And, I think, the moment that you feel like you know everything, the moment that, that's a bad thing to happen. And
it's hard.
I think, you want to keep your eyes open and see where someone's succeeding and not hate on it and respect it. Like, hell yeah, that guy's blowing up. Most people, they see someone succeeding and they feel envious or they feel like jealous and they get pissed off. And that is the worst mindset to have. If you see someone succeeding and you might not love everything they do, but if you see someone succeeding, you want to be like, fuck yeah, that's cool. And like, use that as an opportunity to learn. And the more opportunities you have to learn and apply, the better off you are. So I always like try and keep my mind open where I see someone that's doing something that I'm like, okay, legit. So I'm like, what can I learn from them? And yeah, that's sort of naturally my state of mind. And, for anyone that's watching this and like you said, okay, he's got this, that, and the other thing. It's like, ultimately the most powerful thing you can do is sit down, really write out, what are your goals? What is your life like right now? What's struggling you right now? Write it in depthly. Take time. What's going well? What's not going well? What do you really want to fix? What do you really want to solve? And don't do 100 things. Like narrow it down. Like, what do I really need to hit for my life to get good? And look at those goals. And, most people, they wake up the next day, they check their TikTok, they check their Instagram, they go into consumer mode. They're consuming content. They're consuming this. They're reactive. They're reacting to X, Y, and Z. And when you're in this consuming reactive mode, you have no power to change. You have no power to achieve your goals. If you can wake up, be still, if you want, meditate 15 minutes, look at your goals, look at your vision, look at the one thing you need to do today to get closer. If you do that every day for 6 months, you'll be blown away at where you are in life. But the biggest challenge with today is the way technology is shifting is we're just in consumption and reactive mode, and we're like a leaf in the wind.
Distractions. Yeah.
And I even am guilty of this sometimes. And I'm actually like, I'm guilty of this. I'm like, shit, like even me, I'm like, I should be doing, I want to be further ahead. And it's tough. But again, like biggest believer for anyone is get extremely clear on why your life isn't where you want it to be right now. What is going wrong? If I was freaking genie in a bottle and I could give you 3, like, what do you want? What do you really want to change? And like, obviously you want to be fit. Obviously you want to have resources or a business that you enjoy. And, obviously you want to have a great girl in your life or a man in your life, relationship, whatever.
Good friends, good social circle. And a lot of times when I talk to people, they actually have to freaking let go of friends. There's nothing wrong with letting go of friends and being focused on your goal and your mission if those people are holding you back. Because guess what? In a short period of time, soon enough, you're going to attract great friends that lift you up. So we got to cut out the cancer before it spreads. If you have cancer in your life, you got to cut it out or it will spread to everything in your life. I tell people that. My brother... People don't do the audit, and they're oblivious, and they don't see how certain things. So there's smoke and mirrors in your life. So people, you can think, oh, this person they care about me so much, and they just drag you down. Look, do the audit on know, and and his life is very tricky because sometimes it's very rarely someone's just totally bad and someone's totally good. That's black and white bullshit that does not exist. Bad people have a lot of cool things they bring to you that they keep you sucked in and you fall for it. Like someone that's very good in your life might have some flaws. And so you have to do the audit and really see what is really bringing you down, what's getting in your way. Stay true to your goals, stay focused on your mission, wake up, clear the noise, clear the distractions, focus on what you can do. What's the one thing you can do that day to get a little bit closer and just chisel away at it every day. And whether it's improving your dating life, whether it's getting in better shape, whether it's building your business or figuring out what you want to do with your life. Yeah. Well, also piggyback on the friends thing too. It's when you ignore the red flags and you're looking for the best, but you don't look at what's actually real, then you turn out like the Tinder swindler. So don't be swindled by the Tinder swindler, guys, because it is very bad. And the reason why is, and really any story that you hear, like, oh my God, I can't believe I did all this. I can't believe I sent that guy all this money. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, you were looking for the positives and you ignored the red flags. You wanted to believe it so much that you ignored the red flags. And that's the same thing with your friends group. I told my brother, he's in high school, he's going into college, and he was telling me something about like, oh yeah, my friends and this and that. And I said, listen, I don't talk to anyone from high school. Your friends in high school are irrelevant. You're going to meet new friends. Friends are overrated. When you go to college, you're going to meet tons of new friends. You're going to meet tons of new girls. Focus on your grades, focus on your career, and focus on getting into a top tier university, because your high school friends, you might talk to one, maybe one. I think I talked to one, maybe. Yeah. So, but he also cut off all his friends. He's very extreme like me too. So we're unfortunate that he's like that. But I told him, I said, dude, it's irrelevant. You're never going to talk to these people again. Like, focus. You're going to meet new friends. There's millions of people and billions of people in the world. You'll meet new friends at college. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think the best friendships as a man are the friendships where you're kind of have aligned vision, and you might not be working together, but like you both are kind of have a strong vision. You're like-minded, and you're kind of going the same place. You're trying to lift each other up. You're both trying to become successful, both trying to improve. Those are stronger. So
yeah. Listen, Greg, I think you're awesome. I think everything you do, I'm a huge proponent of everything you do. What's up with the supplements? I know you got the Kino Brain dropping for people that are, I guess, like VIP customers. What does that look like?
Yeah, we did the VIP launch yesterday, and today it's a public launch. So Kino Brain was something that's been in the making for a long time now. I launched other supplements like our pre-workout and stuff, but I wanted to make a really good nootropic, and there was really 5 ingredients that I felt were really, really effective.
Yep.
And improving focus, cognition, memory, mood. Some of them actually have benefits with exercise. And that, was phosphorylserine, bacopa, alpha GPC, ginkgo biloba, and L-tyrosine. And so we just focused on getting the right dose of those ingredients. And I test drove it a few months ago, and my whole team test drove it. And it was like, wow, this stuff is awesome. You get amazing focus. I ran out of all our samples a couple weeks ago, and so I'm just like, we just got it into our warehouse. So I'm getting some Kino Brain sent to me, and I'm really excited. But it's like, you really feel it 30 minutes in, you just feel great. And I've done the analysis of the market, and there's not really anything that has all of those 5 ingredients. Some of them come close, and like a lot of like the main options on the market are just priced very high. So this you can get on subscription for $40. And it's got everything you want, and it's like you see the exact doses. Some other supplements they like
do the blend.
They do the blend. You don't know if you're getting, they do the blends, and then they usually weigh it higher in the shit that's less expensive, that's less beneficial. So I'm really excited about Kino Brain. I'm gonna start really building. We're gonna be blowing up Kino Brain on Kino Brain.
I love it. Yeah. If people look at my Instagram, it says life goal is to become Bradley Cooper and limitless. So if you can get your hands on any Kino Brain, definitely get some while it still lasts. It probably won't be around for much longer. They're going to have to do a new reorder because everybody wants to be elevated and become Bradley Cooper and limitless. Kino Brain, aka NZT48.
100%. Yeah. Which right now, the last 2 days has been pretty crazy. Like this is launched has been going crazy well. We ordered a lot. Yeah. We have some more coming in, but yeah, we're probably gonna run out at some point.
Yeah, I'm gonna try some, and then I'll let you know. My buddy takes all your supplements. He says they're great, so I'm definitely gonna try some of your the Octane and the other things that you guys are doing.
Octane and Kino Brain that's gonna like the limitless stack. Smooth energy with Octane, no crash, the blood flow, and then the Kino Brain. It's just like it hits amazing. You're not gonna want to. You try it, you're not gonna want to not have it. You're just gonna life is gonna just feel brighter and better.
Yep, it's 3-dimensional. Once he takes NCT, it's like he sees in 3D, like a 3-dimensional vision, and everything is like vivid colors.
Yeah, I remember even on like vacation once, I just forgot my Octane, and I just went to the gym. I just did not feel as good. Like I performed so much better with Octane. Like it just.
Oh yeah. It's not even close. Yeah, I haven't done any pre-workouts in a long time. Maybe I'll take some octane and do some L-Carnitine with some liver, and then and then maybe I can get over 405 bench.
405 is pretty damn good.
It's only one rep though, and it's like a ball busting, like I'm about to blow a blood vessel rep.
Yeah, you know what? Hit like I like to do more like PRs for like reps. Yeah, try and hit like 350 for 8. That would be freaking.
That's a
nuts.
lot.
Or maybe 6. 6 it probably is. You probably hit 6.
I find myself always trying to hit that 1 rep max. Are you a 2 or 3 guy minimum?
Yeah, I don't really do 1 rep unless it's just once in a blue moon, just to see if I can hit a certain level. Just like the benefit of doing a 1 rep max is low, and also like it's more stressful on the body. You will build muscle better with doing 4 reps. So
of course,
yeah.
Well, let's face it, Greg. Well, let's face it. Nobody does a 1 rep max because they're trying to get better muscles. It's all to show everyone in the gym that you're the alpha.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you know what? But I just think it's cooler to be like going in the gym, lifting that weight. People are like, what the fuck? There's no way this guy can lift it. And then repping it 5 times, 6 times, you know?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Shit.
Like, goddamn.
They're like, there's no way he's able to do this. And then boom, you hit it 5 times. It's like, that's sick. But going for like grinding it out, I think the cooler flex is just to rep the crazy weight. Like,
so if you're trying to flex, guys, do the most you can, 4 reps, 4 or 5 reps, the most you can, and then take some octane. And if you want to get that laser focus, you got to hit my boy Greg up for the Kino Brain Stack, the Limitless NZT. Greg, It was awesome talking to you, brother. How do people reach out to you, buy your supplements, get your programs? What does that look like?
Yeah. So the website is kinobody.com, KINO body.com. And we have our programs and supplements there. And I'm active on Instagram at Gallagher. So add me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. And you can check me out on YouTube, TikTok. Pretty easy to find. And so kinobody.com.
Yep, kinobody.com, guys. And like I say in every episode, the links to Greg and Kinobody will be in the show note description below, so you don't have to go on a wild goose chase. You just go down in the show description and click the link, and then we'll be good to go. All right, Greg, any last words for the listeners before we end this thing?
Nope, that's pretty much it. Hope you found this valuable, and I had an awesome time chatting with you, man.
Yeah, man. Of course. Same here. And I know people are going to be loving this episode. I can't wait to tell you the feedback that we got. But from Greg to Justin, this is the Justin Caviar Show, and we're out. Bye-bye, y'all.